Hi, I'm Robert DePort. What you're about to see is an interview by Joy Belusi, who is Dr. Rolf's final administrative assistant. When I first met Dr. Rolf in Big Sur, California, I decided I wanted to study with her. One thing led to another, and I ended up in her last elementary class, which I essentially failed. Dick Demerly, her son, who I did my first auditing class with, came out to California, convinced her that I could move to New Jersey, live at his house with his 3 sons and his wife. In his busy practice, I could Rolf 3 people under his supervision, take his class that summer, and get my certificate, which I did. While living at Dick's house, I realized that whenever Dr. Rolf was in town, she bothered him a lot about doing this and doing that. One day I said, "I'll take all that off your plate." He said, "Great, she's coming in town next week. Go pick her up." So I went to the airport and I picked her up and I brazenly said, "Hi, remember me? I'm going to be your East Coast business manager." She kind of looked at me and gave me that Dr. Rolf look and said, "Well, do you have $5 for my bag?" And I happened to have $5. There are many times in life I didn't have $5, but that day, fortunately, I did. We got her bag. We put it in the back of my pickup truck. She did not blink on getting in my pickup truck. And on the way home, she said she needed a administrative assistant or secretary. And over the next 4 years, I found all of her administrative people. This is Joy Belusi, the last person that was with her throughout the end of her life. When I told Dr. Rolf that I found a new person, her name was Joy, she said, "I hope not," and laughed. Joy turned out to be the perfect choice for Dr. Rolf's end of life journey. I've known Joy for close to 50 years. Joy ultimately became a Rolfer. She married Dr. Rolf's other son, and she's been involved in the Rolf Institute forever. She's one of the unsung heroes of the Rolfing world. Hopefully you'll enjoy this interview with her.
My name is Joy Belusi. I was Dr. Rolf's last personal assistant. I had been Rolfed in California, and I moved to Philadelphia, and I was in an S seminar, and there was a guy named Robert DePort who used to stand up every week and talk about Rolfing. One time I asked him if I could meet Dr. Rolf, and he said no, they didn't do that kind of thing. But then a couple of weeks later, he came up to me and said, "Aren't you the girl who wanted to see Dr. Rolf?" And I said, "Yes." I'd never asked to be introduced to anybody before, but I was curious about her. He said I should come to his house for her 82nd birthday party, and I did. Sometime later, he asked if I was interested in being her personal assistant. I said, "Oh, I wasn't really, because I need to get my life back on track." But if they didn't find anybody to ask me later again, I thought about it for quite a while and decided it'd be interesting to hang out with somebody like Dr. Rolf, who's an expert at what she did. She hung out with a lot of interesting people, knew a lot of interesting stuff. So I said I would take the job for a year. I would be with her. I started with her, I think, in July of 1978, and she died in March of 79. So I wasn't with her a whole year, but it changed my whole life because I really grew to appreciate and love her and wanted to be part of the work that she had created. So after she died, I decided I wanted to be a Rolfer.
What was the most fun time you had with her?
Gosh, somehow a couple of times I traveled with her, once down to Jamaica to a electro clinic when she was diagnosed with cancer. It was challenging at times, but it was very different and a memorable time down there. And then another time we were in Colorado for an annual meeting at the Rolf Institute, and I remember being out there with her, and it was fun and interesting. It was my first time to experience those things. There was a bunch of guys in our hotel room working on somebody else. It was an interesting, spontaneous event.
What was your biggest challenge?
Dealing with her. She could be wonderful, and she could be difficult at times. When we were in Jamaica, she would ask me to move a lamp and put something in a place, and I would get it all arranged the way she wanted it. And then the next day, she'd want it a different way. So that could be hard. One of my memorable moments with her was down Jamaica. I was kind of at my wit's end with her, and she came the closest she ever had been, asking me if there was something wrong. She didn't say she was sorry, but she wanted to know what was going on. And I finally said, Dr. Rolf, there are times when I don't know what you want me to do, and you can be a little difficult sometimes. And she looked at me and said, my dear, I've had she was 82 at the time, a long and challenging life. It's been difficult at times. If I'm rude sometimes, it's because I had to be hard about things to get across what I wanted to. And it was a very touching moment where she kind of opened up and was trying to explain why she was the way she was sometimes. In the very beginning, I would get home on a Friday night and burst into tears. But it was touching for me to be able to be with her during this time of closure. It was an honor, really, to be there with her. One of the things I came to admire about her was that she wasn't trying so much to cure herself or her health issue, but was trying to see what effect certain practices would have on her. When she was first diagnosed with colon cancer, she went to a psychic in New York, and then she went to this lateral clinic in Jamaica. I think it was to see what these things would do for her. After she did those things, she had surgery at the University of Pennsylvania Hospital. There were a couple of times when it looked like she was about to die. There was a little, I wouldn't say panic or whatever, but I always felt she wanted to see how things would go when she was gone, and then she'd come back. And I think when she felt somewhat at peace about things would go on without her, she was able to move on. I think it was hard for her to be losing her eyesight. She also had macular degeneration. I thought that was harder for her than anything else I've read to her sometimes. And she continuously wanted to learn. She was always trying new things, reading about new things, staying up on the latest stuff, and experimenting on herself. I had a lot of admiration for her ability to do that.
If all the Rolfers in the world and all the structural integration people in the world and all the people that have benefited from her work got to hear what you would have to say about her, what would you want them to know?
Oh, that is a big question. To keep an open mind. I think she was always searching. She never gave up for all kinds of the esoteric to the scientific. You know, she wasn't closed-minded about things. She kept searching and looking for answers to better humanity. We had so much admiration for her ability to keep searching for answers.
How has that all impacted your life?
Well, one time wrote a little article where I said it gave me a future, a focus, a family, a purpose in my life. So it totally affected my whole life, my work, my home life, and just having an attitude of trying to be healthy and the best you could be. And things do happen to all of us, like my stroke. And you still want to keep going on, not to give up.
You had a unique position with her because you married her son,
Yes.
had one of her grandchildren,
Yes.
and became a Rolfer, right?
I did marry your son, and we had a good life. And I do have a son, so it affected me on many levels.
Anything else you want the world to know?
She was a unique individual and was ahead of her time. She really did a lot. She was very smart, and her ability was underappreciated.
What would you say her relationship with me was like?
It was kind of playful at times. She had respect for you. You really promoted what she was doing and helped her move her work forward in the world. She had an uncanny way of seeing through people, and I think she must have known that you would be doing that.
I worked directly with Dr. Rolf the last 4 years of her life. The last year of her life, she wanted to do a project that would demonstrate, document, and promote the benefits of Rolfing babies and children, which I have continued to do for almost 50 years. Now that I'm 78 and a half, it's time to pass the baton to the next generation. In my digital inclusion project, we've distributed 25,000 computers. We have access to over 1,000 families who have babies or children with developmental challenges that would benefit from being Rolf, but would never be able to afford it. Well, the goal is to take 3 or 4 families 1 day a week, take them to the 10 sessions, hire a staff to manage the whole project, videotape it, document it, edit it, and then do the next 3 or 4 families by bringing other Rolfers into the project, and then continue to expand that until we're doing it every day of the week until we reach 100 families. By doing that, we will be able to let the world know the benefits of Rolfing for babies and children of all kinds, of all ages, of all races, and of all income. Feel free to contribute. You can go to my website, www.teamchildren.com, make a contribution, or you can call me directly. What I've learned over the last many years is that every contribution makes a difference. So feel free to contribute. Thanks.